Okay, over to Portugal, France here. Portugal 0, France 0, and ultimately it goes to penalties. But before we get to the penalties, give me your initial thoughts on the actual. Well, let's go for the first 90 minutes.
The first half was disappointing. Rafael Leão was terrific, but nobody else really stood out for me. But as the game wore on, you started to have more chances and the game became more exciting back and forth. Yeah, and it's unbelievable that nobody got a goal. I mean, you had on one end, Colomwani, Camavinga, Dembele, and the other Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, Nuno Mendes, all with great opportunities to score. None of them do. We go into extra time. And then that incredible moment in the middle of the extra time where Mbappé essentially asked to come off. And he did, and we ended up going to penalties. And, you know, I look like a bit of an idiot because in the control room, I told Brad Zager that Portugal was definitely going to go through because Diogo Costa is basically the European Emi Martinez, and look what he did against Slovenia, and that he didn't come close to any of the France attempts in this shootout. And João Felix ends up hitting the post, and Theo Hernandez converts the winner, and France go through.
Yeah, well, don't worry about looking like an idiot, okay? I do it all the time, and it's fine. You'll get over it. I do. Well, so when I think about this game, so first off, a couple of things when it comes to the wing play of both of these teams, and it was kind of a mirror, as we mentioned, with Leão going down that left-hand side and the clearing out that was happening oftentimes, which is exactly what you want to do. I remember when Kobe Jones, who was working with us today, and certainly I'm not necessarily comparing the two, but I guess I am in essence, in that we would get Kobe out wide, and we didn't want to complicate it for the team or for Kobe, in that I don't want anybody overlapping. I don't want anybody running into that space. As a matter of fact, I want people leaving that space. And if they want to double a team, that's fine, because that frees up other people. But we knew that especially if you got Kobe one-on-one with any type of space, that 9 out of the 10 times he was going to beat the guy and there was going to be a cross. And that's a wonderfully valuable thing to have happen. And I think the same thing applies when it comes to Leão over there on that left-hand side. Now, not as much, but certainly the left-hand side of France was where, and oftentimes Mbappé steps up. We'll talk a little bit more about Mbappé over here, but it was interesting to see this mirror happen. And, like Conde had his hands full over there on that right side going forward a lot. Big moment in the game relative to Mbappé. He gets hit in the face with the ball and gets hit in the side of the face and hits the face mask. And obviously, that's going to be painful because he's playing with a broken nose. But you could tell it was almost as if he had been tased in that moment. And I don't know what kind of pain he was feeling, but obviously it was not just a lot, but it was enough to ultimately pull him off the field. And it's a pity because we still haven't seen, and we're not going to see 100% Mbappé, but it's just the reality of the situation, just the worst possible place for it to hit him in the face.
I'm frankly wondering about him on Tuesday. France plays Spain in the semifinals in Munich. Yeah, it was already bothering him more than he was letting on. You could see he was fidgeting with the mask the last couple of games, and now he gets hit in the face again, and it hurts enough that he has to come off an extra time of a game like that. So I don't know. It's only a few days to recover.
By the way, not to jump ahead, but there was a player on Venezuela tonight that was wearing a clear mask, so you can make it clear. And I know he's worried about the periphery and stuff like that, and so who knows? I'm sure that the French medical team is on it.
Now, shall we have the Ronaldo conversation?
Let's see. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get it over with.
He did not cry today.
Yes.
That must be said.
He didn't. He was the consoler of those with tears. Okay.
Yes. But still, he finishes the tournament 5 games, 23 shots, no goals. If you take it back to the World Cup, it's more than 700 minutes without a goal at major tournaments. And I think this narrative that we all talked about as a possibility, I think came to fruition, that Portugal have all these young, talented guys, and it's just a weird mix ramming Ronaldo into that team. And I think ultimately Roberto Martinez, when he looks back at this tournament, will think that it's a mistake. He maybe should have approached it differently.
Yeah. So when it comes to Portugal and Ronaldo at this tournament, all right, they have no one to blame but themselves. And when I say themselves, ultimately it rests with Roberto Martinez. He made his bed, and that bed was with Ronaldo in it. And he, leaned into it all tournament and propped him up at every chance that he could get, including playing him in that third game, trying to get him a goal. If it was not a player called Cristiano Ronaldo, in any other circumstance, that player would have been taken off the field, okay? Not necessarily because he's not good, but, strikers are there to serve a purpose. And obviously, the ultimate purpose is to score goals, and at very least to be dangerous. And sometimes it goes well, and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes there comes a point where you have to mix it up, and usually you have other Arsenal on the bench that you bring in. Maybe it's a like for like, maybe it's a different type of person up there. And in this case, that wasn't done. And I don't know if it was out of fear or out of respect or a combination of all of it, but what you ended up having, Mosse, in this tournament was almost a charity game set up for Ronaldo. And that's not even fair. I don't like saying that. It's not fair. But again, this is a situation that Roberto Martinez created, and this is a situation that Cristiano Ronaldo accepted and certainly didn't do anything to change with his play or with his decisions. And ultimately, I think it hurt Portugal.
And, he hasn't ruled out playing in the next World Cup. So are we going to go through this again in 2 years, or is somebody going to have an intervention with him and tell him, look, you're 39, it's probably time to walk away from the national team?
I mean, and if he's going to stay on, okay, fine. And if it goes to penalties, at least you got him to take penalties. He stepped up. He took the first one, and you could just tell. I mean, he took a bunch of deep breaths, banged it home, and then proceeded to play cheerleader going forward because the pressure was off his shoulder.
He did the stutter step, which he doesn't usually do. But then, to be fair, he put it perfectly in the corner. That was a well-taken penalty.
So, while we're talking about old people in the game, okay, we got to talk about Pepe, all right? And yes, he's 41 years old, and yes, he's incredible. And so whatever criticism we have, I think, of Cristiano Ronaldo, I think the opposite goes for Pepe, in that he's there not because he's old and a legend. He's there because he's good. And he showed it time and time again. And look, he's not the player that he once was. Nobody is. But if he got beat, he got back up. And multiple times when he got beat, he got back up and then ended up making the play. Obviously, after the game, when the tears are supposed to come, they came for him. And I think he felt like not only had he let down his team and maybe even let down Cristiano Ronaldo, but in not winning, but you could tell that there was a finality to this game when it comes to him. And if that's it, man, oh man, what a soldier, what a wonderful, wonderful player. And then we get to the penalties. Anything in particular besides Cristiano making his that you want to talk about?
No, just hats off to France. They took them very well. Like I said, you have a very good goalkeeper at stopping them in Diogo Costa, and yet it was no problem. They all converted.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.